Hello, my name is Caitlin Walker, and this is my presentation on parenthood and raising children. What factors need to be considered when deciding whether to parent or not? First off, people should decide if they want children. Children who are unwanted are less likely to be breastfed, receive prenatal care, and have a lower birth rate than children who are wanted. People should also consider whether or not they can afford a child. For a middle-income family in 2013, studies said raising a child until they are 18 would cost $245,000 on average, not including college. Children are really expensive. They're always needing new clothes, new shoes, diapers, books for school, school supplies, daycare fees, medical fees. Children are really expensive, and before having children, it's important to consider whether or not you can afford having children. They should also consider if the rewards of having a child, the joy a child brings, and the happiness and the sense of completeness is worth all of the financial costs discussed above. They should also consider if having a child will affect their relationship and their happiness. Studies show couples with children are not as happy with as couples without children in regards to marital satisfaction. Sometimes having a child brings on extra stress in regards to finances, couples not being able to spend quality time together because the child needs something. So it's important to consider if some of that happiness in your relationship is worth sacrificing to have a child. They should also decide when the right time to have a child would be. There's early parenthood and late parenthood. With early parenthood, there's a greater certainty to have children. Parents have more time with their children, and they'll have the opportunity to see their grandchildren and maybe even their great-grandchildren. They have time to pursue other activities after their children are grown up. When their kids are finally grown up, go off to college and everything, they can travel if they want to or do other activities they've always wanted to do. But they may also have to forego education, which means they start their career up a lot slower than someone else who doesn't have children. It can also put strains on a marriage, and it makes it harder to save money because children are really expensive. So later in life is when parents who choose to have children early save for college and retirement, so they have to work harder and longer because of that. With late parenthood, parents have more time for personal development, not just in the career, but personally as well, between themselves and also in their relationship. Job stability allows them to take work off for child activities like a school play, a soccer game, a choir recital, anything. They have greater maturity and preparation for parenthood, increased likelihood of having children with disabilities. The older the age, parents or mothers usually have more complications with their pregnancy and their labor, and they're more likely to have a child with something like autism or Down syndrome just because of their age. They also have a limited time with their children, and they miss out on seeing their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren be born and grow. They should also decide how many children they would like to have, whether they want to have 1 kid or 2 kids or 5 kids. That should be discussed prior to having children. How have the trends in parenthood changed? The number of children a woman bears has fluctuated greatly over the years. In Figure 9.1, in Chapter 8, Figure 8.1, in Chapter 8 shows how greatly it has fluctuated over the years. In the early 1900s, before the Great Depression, women were having close to 3.5 children each. Around the time of the Great Depression, that dropped to between 2 and 2.5 children. After the Great Depression, in around 1960-ish, mothers were having between 3.5 and 4 children. It just continues to go up and go down and go up and go down. until about 1981 and on, it's mostly stable with very slight fluctuation. In 2011, women had about 2 children each. Infant mortality has declined due to improved living conditions and healthcare. More children are surviving because they now have better access to healthcare. Living conditions are a lot better than they were back in the day. It's cleaner, it's safer, there's healthier food, healthier everything. Children went from being economic assets to being economic liabilities, but they came with rewards. Back in the day when people had children, their children would go work in factories, which helped the family, but as time went on and kids started going to school, they became economic liabilities because parents now had to buy school clothes, school supplies, shoes, backpacks, and everything else a child needs for school. Unless women have now voluntarily choose to be child-free. About 5% different from in the 1900s. What are some advantages to parenting in the 21st century? Parents have more education now, and they have likely been exposed to knowledge about parenting. So they're more prepared, and they know it. They go into it with a sense of what they'll be doing and how to do it. Fathers are more emotionally involved than they were 10 years ago. Fewer children are exposed to less violence compared to 20 years ago. Cell phones and social media allow parents and children to stay in constant communication. You don't have to guess where your kids are anymore. You can just give them a quick call. You don't have to call your child's friends' parents to get a hold of them. You can just directly get to them as quick as you need to. And the internet gives parents a surplus of information to deal with any situation. Google Magic, it has everything. Parents are able to Google anything and get a surplus of information about any specific thing in regards to child rearing or anything else. What are some challenges to parenting in the 21st century? Work versus family. A lot of jobs want you to take priority, your job, over your family, but that's really hard because with a lot of people, family comes first, but it gets hard when your work is pushing and pulling at you, but then so is your family. So it's really hard to juggle work and a family. Conflicting views and values between parents, schools, peers, television, movies, music, and the internet. Children see everything, even if you don't think they're watching, and they're learning from all these conflicting views they see, which can make it difficult for them and for the parents. Contradictory advice about parenting. Like I said, you can Google anything on the internet, but a lot of the advice can be really contradicting. For example, bed sharing. Some people say bed sharing is great and to do it, and other people completely look bad on it. They don't support bed sharing and they think it's an awful idea. Taking care of children and caring for elderly parents is also a challenge. Society's support for raising children has diminished over the years because less people are raising children, and the people who are raising children are raising less children than before. Parents are also pressured to raise good children, but their methods are questioned, and at times the state steps in and makes those decisions for them. For example, their schooling, their discipline, how they should be punished, their medical care, and a number of other things. And here is my references page. Thank you.